Okay, everybody, so hi and welcome back to another episode of Faith Brunel's Insights. I'm Faith Brunel, and today we have Hi Delight Mapashaw. How are you today?
I'm all right, Faith. Thank you so much for having me today.
I'm so glad to have you here, Delight. So today, everybody, we're here to hear Delight's wonderful journey and experience, really. And actually, a little bit of context for you. I met Delight at the Birmingham Black Business Show, which really highlights the power of networking because I was literally just talking to someone I knew, came across Delight, we got chatting, took a couple of photos. I invited her to come on the podcast, and here we are today. And so, as I always say, everybody, networking is key. Get yourself out there, even if it's not in your comfort zone. It's worth it because I didn't know you, Delight, but yet I kind of like pushed myself out there, asked you would you like to come on, and you came on, and here we are today to get stuck into your very wonderful and inspirational journey. And as I do with all guest speakers, I was trawling through your LinkedIn. There was so much to get to, so there's only going to be a few questions today because of time, but there's so many more we could really have got into. So let's get started because I know the listeners and myself, Delight, are very, very interested to hear about your journey. So let's just get stuck in straight away. So as you have explained on your LinkedIn profile, you did go into Dragon's Den in 2021. So could you talk to us a little bit about that experience? Because I know that although you weren't successful, you were actually, it actually kind of gave you a platform actually to launch your business elsewhere. So can you talk to us a little bit more about that?
Well, the Dragon's Den experience is a once in a lifetime experience. When I will just give you a bit of background, just
Yeah,
briefly.
please do.
When I was first approached by the producers, they sent a message on our Instagram page, and when the message came through, I just filtered it as spam, and because I thought, BBC Dragon's Den, come on, So I ignored it, and they sent a second one. And again, I just ignored it. And they sent an email.
Wow.
And again, I was like, oh, this is persistent. It's becoming a bit Spanish. And again, I just ignored it until they sort of found my number and they rang. And they said, we've been trying to reach out. That's when I realized that it was actually opportunity. And we got talking and they told me what they were contacting me about. And that's how I ended up on Dragon's Den. The whole experience, as much as people only see a snippet of it, it takes almost 6 months. Wow. So there's a lot of preparation that goes into it. They do lots of due diligence, lots of background checks. Obviously, this is someone's money. So they have to know that, whoever they decide to invest in is worthy of that investment. Definitely. And also that they do meet the investors, requirements. So it does take a lot of prep work to get on there. And being on set itself, again, it was almost like walking into a dream, like a childhood dream. I'd always loved speaking in front of people. It is something that I'd always loved doing from when I was young. But being on Dragon's Den, I just felt like, oh, this is a bit over the top. But, I'll grab this opportunity. It's a once in a lifetime opportunity. And I just felt like it was that opportunity that every Black girl needs to experience.
Yeah.
Because we don't get... There's not that many opportunities. Opportunities are there, but we don't have access to those opportunities. So once you get access to that kind of platform, that kind of opportunity, I just say to myself, Delight, go for it, grab it.
And Delight, I'm glad you did go for it and grab it because, as you said, as a Black woman, there are opportunities, but it's about the access. Access is that key. If you don't have the key, then there could be as many opportunities, as you wanted there to be, but without access, without actually stepping into that, then you can't actually benefit from that particular scheme or whatever it may be. And I'm so glad that you're sitting here today really sharing your very inspirational journey because it's not just about it's not the fact, as you said, that you weren't successful. It's about your journey to even be there. That is an inspirational and an outstanding achievement, just to be able to present your business idea to the dragons, who obviously are people who are very entrepreneurial, people who are successful. And as you said, it's not as simple as just turning on your TV, watching Dragon's Den for the 5-minute presentation. It's all of the due diligence work, all of the preparatory work that you have to do. And my dad always says planning prevents poor performance, and surely here you have demonstrated that because you have to get prepared. And as you said, you made a good point. You know, people are giving you their money, they're investing in you, and they want to make sure that all the requirements they've laid out from A to Z, that you can fulfill them. And that's a very important point. And I just want to segue into something really important. It's about, you know, having that confidence really to go after it, because sometimes we get opportunities, but because of imposter syndrome, we may feel like we don't belong. So what tips would you give to somebody who wants to go on Dragon's Den and similar programs? They want to launch their business to the next level, but they're facing that imposter syndrome.
I would say, first of all, the most important thing is to believe in your product, believe in whatever service that you're offering. Because if you don't believe in that, if you don't have confidence in what you're selling or in what you're offering, then the next person is not going to believe you. And you will not have the confidence to stand in front of people and sell whatever it is that you're selling, whatever it is that you're offering. It doesn't have to be a product. It could just be a service. It could just be this podcast, for example. You know, I won't have come to you if you had not approached me in the manner that you did. So it is how you present yourself, how you present your product, and how you believe in your product to say, you know what, I actually believe that my podcast is big enough to have Dima Pasue on it. I actually believe that my next guest is going to be Steve Bartlett. You know, it's just you believing in your offering. That is, you have to believe in your product. So create something that you believe in. Create something that you're confident selling. Because there is no point creating something substandard and then trying to sell it confidently. It will not work. So have confidence in whatever you're creating, have confidence in whatever you're selling or whatever you're offering. That will automatically give you all the confidence you need to sell that product or that service to the next person.
Very sound advice. I can really feel the passion really here. Virtually, I can feel that passion and that drive really, you know, as a very entrepreneurial person yourself, because as you said, you can't create something substandard. You have to push yourself as much as you can and believe in yourself. And, you know, to all the listeners, you know, tuning in today, you can do it. You know, you have the ability. Don't doubt yourself. Get out there, channel all your skills, all those skills that you've acquired, whether it be through work or through university or whatever it may be, and push yourself to do something. But first and foremost, I would always say have faith in yourself and believe in yourself, as you said, because confidence sells, and, you know, success is attracted to confidence. Not overconfidence necessarily, because that can move to arrogance, but just have confidence in yourself that you know that you can do it and you can achieve. So thank you, Delight, for once again very wisdom, that very wise advice and wisdom there from such a success yourself. So yeah, I want to just talk to you a little bit about facing, as we were saying before on Dragon's Den, you did, you know, you weren't successful, you were rejected slightly, you know, on the platform, but it must have been challenging for you. So can you talk to us about how did you actually find that strength to really come back after that and to overcome that?
For me, it is all about learning from your failures. So for me, failure means a lesson. Every time I fail, I believe there's a lesson in there. There is something to learn from that failure. So each step I failed along my journey, Dragon's Den was not the first time that I ever failed. I'd gone through so many failures before. And the way that I bounced back, or how I bounced back from that, is by simply taking all the lessons that I can from that failure. I interrogate myself. I ask myself, where did things go wrong? Or I actually go back to those people that said no to me. And I ask them for some feedback, because from that feedback, I will know how to make it right for the next round. So that is how I take it. I always take failure as a lesson and not as a roadblock to success. Failure is a lesson. And as long as you take failure as a lesson, you will find yourself continually improving, being innovative, and you will continue to grow every single step. It doesn't matter how bad the failure is. I mean, Dragon's Den was the worst for me. I experienced that failure in front of so many millions of people that were watching on live TV. So that couldn't have been, you know, it was the hardest for me.
It would have been very challenging.
But I took some very important lessons from that. My resilience was stretched to the absolute max. But I managed to get back up because I took some very important lessons from there. That you know what? Sometimes you could be busy going after something, but maybe it's not the right time, or maybe it's not suited for you. And so there are things about time, you know, timing.
Time is key,
Timing is key. So there's so many things, so many lessons that I learned in there. So I would say to anybody that wants or is planning to go for anything, interview, Dragon's Den, or any pitching competition, just remember, if you fail, there is a lesson to be learned.
Not a roadblock.
Interrogate yourself, go and ask for feedback, and take some learnings from that failure and get yourself back up and try again for the next round.
I love that, because, if you do fail, failure is not the end of the world. Failure is just a way, as you said, to learn a lesson. It's a way to move on to the next step, to learn from to learn from what you did, get that feedback as well. That's why even if you're applying for a job interview and you don't get it, you can ask them for some feedback. Sometimes they may be too inundated to give you feedback, but hopefully in the off chance that they are able to give you feedback, it will allow you to then tailor that and kind of take that in when you're making the next batch of set of applications. And so, as you said as well, failure is a lesson, not a roadblock to success. I've written that down actually, because it's such an inspirational quote, and really that really summarizes your journey, because you are resilient, you are determined. And so, as you said, your resilience and your confidence must have been really stretched on that day, because it's not like it was a closed pitching competition with just maybe 10 or 15 people. This was millions tuning in, watching your pitch. But you know what, I believe that through that, actually you actually became more confident in yourself to bounce back from that. And as we've seen, Delight, you are still very successful now. Costco have actually, you actually found success with Costco, which would have been a pivotal moment. So I just want to take this opportunity now. Can you just talk to the listeners about your product? What have you got in Costco? How did you get there? And how do you believe that kind of failure in Dragon's Den actually propelled you to greater success in Costco?
Yes. Yeah, of course. So we make South African inspired sausages, and our main product is called Boerewors. It's actually Afrikaans, and it translates to farmer's sausage. Boerewors. And the background for that is because it used to be made by farmers in the very, very old days, when farmers would go out, maybe on a hunt, and then when they've processed their meats, whatever they catch, whatever meats, the offcuts, everything that is left, they'll put it together, grind it, stuff it into the intestines of the animals, and make a sausage. So it was very coarsely ground and then mixed with natural herbs and whatever they could find, really, and just to make a nice spicy, costly minced sausage. So that's how this traditional South African sausage came about. And I decided to introduce this into the UK market because it's part of my heritage. I'm from Zimbabwe. My husband is from South Africa. And I didn't want my children to grow up not knowing where they come from. And for me, I don't know about you, Faith, but for me, food defines where we come from. If you miss home, the first thing you miss is the food. If you miss anything at all, if you went to uni and you missed home, the first thing that will come to your mind will be maybe your mom's cooking, or maybe a meal that you shared as a family. So for me, that's why I went into the food industry, because I wanted to share my heritage through food. And I chose this particular sausage because I was tired of eating, all of these sausages that had lacked the quality that I was looking for. And this is how we've ended up where we are now. So now, Costco, how to get your product into retail, for example, a retailer like Costco. A lot of people may not know Costco, or a lot of people are just starting to know about Costco. So Costco is a $240 billion retailer. Wow. So they are big, they are huge. They're a lot bigger in the US and Canada, but they're coming into Europe. And in the UK, they have 25 massive wholesalers. They are different kind of retailer. They sell massive, everything that's sold in Costco, by the way, is sold in bulk. I know, so you will always you'll find everything is double or triple what you used to buy. Exactly, but that is their model, and it works very well for Costco. For me, the Costco project was in the works for about 2 years, I think. I would say 2 years, because, we had the pandemic. So, I met the buyer pre-pandemic. Then we went into the pandemic, and, things sort of went quiet for everyone, because people were sort of struggling, with how do we proceed? How do we work things out in the pandemic? So it was in the works for about 2 years. But what I feel really propelled and accelerated that journey was my Dragon's Den appearance. So though I failed at getting investment on Dragon's Den, I reached out to Costco again. And I said, guys, look, this is me. This is what I've just done. This is what I've been through. And I'm back again. Would you be interested in listing my product? And there and then I caught their attention. They loved my story. they loved the product, and they felt it suited the Costco project very, very well. It was one of those products that suited what they were looking for in terms of quality, in terms of uniqueness, and in terms of just having a really strong backstory. And so that is how we ended up in Costco. Now, one thing about Costco, before you get your product in Costco, if it's a food product, they would love to test it first.
Yeah.
So you need to go in store and do some samplings. However, due to the pandemic, we couldn't do that. And so this buyer took a chance on my product. He took a chance on me and said, I will put this on the shelves in the hope that it sells.
Right.
So we bypassed that requirement and we went and shelved. And one important thing that I would love for anyone listening to know is that that particular buyer was actually vegetarian.
Wow.
And I make meat products. My products are made from beef, pork, and lamb. So it's a very, very meaty product.
Wow.
He was vegetarian, never tried my product, but believed in my
story.
And he believed in everything that I told to him because I was very sincere, open, and honest with him.
And you created a brand as well. You created a reliable brand, a reliable story. You were the person, because you are the brand delight. And so if people can buy into you, if you're a nice person, then they're more likely to give you the time of day. And so one thing I'd say to aspiring entrepreneurs and those who want to set up a business or pitch or get into anywhere, just be aware of how you come across to others as well. Have a smile on your face, be very, personable as well, have good conversations. And that doesn't mean that you've got to force yourself to talk to everybody, but it just means that just be a nice person. And just, as I say, as Delight said as well, it's the way that people come across to you. And I said, even though he was vegetarian and your products are very meaty, he still bought into that story. And really what I really want to kind of focus on here is that your failure actually catapulted you into further success, because just being on Dragon's Den, even though you were rejected, even though that you didn't go your way, just being on Dragon's Den, just having the opportunity allowed other people to say, hang on, there's something here that we've got to get out. There's something here that is important. There's something here that can benefit other people and really fit for our consumer. And actually, I want to segue back into something you said, talking about feedback and how that Dragon's Den experience really allowed you to then tap into feedback. Now, how did being in Costco, selling your sausages in Costco, how did that allow you to get feedback from the consumers?
So when we went in Costco, we were given the opportunity, after we'd been selling for a while, we were given an opportunity to do one of their road shows. So the road shows is when you feature your product for so many days in the different shops. Yeah. So we did that in our local shop in Manchester, where we're based. We did the road show for 4 days. And that was an opportunity for us to have our full range in store, full display, and get customers to come in, sample, and tell us which one was their favorite. Right. So we had the buyer there, the whole team was there, talking to consumers, asking them what they liked, why, with them. What was their favorite, why. And we're getting all of this feedback. I was really overwhelmed by the amount of feedback that I was getting. We received such positive feedback. The only negative was there's not enough of this sausage. That was the only negative that we got. But all of the positives, we're all like, firstly, people had recognized me from Dragon's Den. Yeah. So, and on the road show, I actually wore the same outfit. I was going to mention that wearing on Dragon's Den. I did that for impact. That was my next question, Delight. It's like you've really gone ahead. Honestly, we're really in sync there, because that was my next question about how wearing the same outfit from your Dragon's Den Rejection to the Costco Roadshow with a powerful symbol. It was a symbol of strength, really a symbol of resilience, of confidence. So talk to us a bit more about that decision. It was a reminder to myself. I woke up that day, so that was like the last day, the final day of the roadshow. And I just woke up and I felt, this is it. Yeah. This is everything I've ever wanted. Wow. And I looked at that outfit, it changed how I looked at that outfit, because prior to that, I was looking at it with, with sadness. Yeah. And, just thinking and trying to recall, trying to tell myself, what could I have done differently? But on that particular day, I felt alive. I felt like, even though I failed, this is where I really wanted to be. Yeah. And I've managed to get here regardless. Yeah. And I just felt like, I need to remind myself that it doesn't matter how hard I fell, but this is how I got up 10 times more powerful than I was when I fell. When I went in Dragon's Den, I had nothing. But on that particular day in Costco, I was standing in front of a 6-figure brand.
That's amazing.
And that was everything to be proud of.
Wow.
And so that was a very, very important moment for me. And I keep that outfit. I've said to myself, I'm going to pass it on to my children.
Yeah.
It's one of those things. It's a statement for me. It always reminds me of how strong I was when I was at my weakest.
And it really changes that perspective as well, because prior to this, hitherto this, it might be a negative perspective of failure, as you said before, if only I'd done this, but now it's actually a symbol of hope, a beacon of hope, and a beacon of success, a symbol of success that you've actually made, as you said, achieved everything you wanted to be, doing 10 times more powerful. And that really kind of goes into the next question, that you made a reference to the stone that the builders rejected, becoming the chief cornerstone, is inspiring. So can you, because I know about the chief cornerstone in terms of God, he is our chief cornerstone. So can you talk about a bit more about kind of how this phrase captures your journey and perspective on being rejected?
Yeah, for me, I just feel like my journey has always been filled with rejection. Just from day one, just trying to raise just a little bit of money to buy some equipment, just to start, doing what I wanted to do, processing or just developing the product at home. I couldn't even do that without being rejected. So even the simplest things that other people would just find as a walkthrough, for me, it was always difficult. So because of that, I'll give you just a bit of background. I made in total 19 applications for funding when I was trying to get my product into retail. I was trying to get the product retail ready. So I needed a bit of capital to move my product from my kitchen table into a shelf-ready product, ready for consumers to buy. I made 19 applications for funding. They were all rejected.
Wow.
And some people thought, why did you keep going? And it goes back to that, that bit I mentioned about taking failure as a lesson. So I would go back and just trying to tweak things, change things. But there was always one thing that I couldn't change. The fact that I was a woman, the fact that I was Black, the fact that I had no experience in the industry that I was going into, and the fact that I was a mother. Those are natural things that I could not change.
You can't control.
And those forces were constantly going against me. And I was constantly told that, maybe you should give up. I remember one business advisor telling me that you're better off just staying at home, raising your children and cleaning. And right now, I feel like reaching out and saying, you were so wrong about me. You were so wrong about me. But, those things made me the person that I am today. I got so used to rejection, it became second nature, and it helped me to become the resilient person that I am today.
And definitely, I think, that person, that business advisor who said, it's better to stay at home, they will see you now, because as you continue to gain traction, which you are doing, they will see you anyway. So they will see that, and they're like, hang on, this, I remember this person, I sat down with this person, I didn't give them the best advice. And, it's going to be a story as to whether they're going to be able to come back and say, well done. And even if they're not able to, you will know that they were wrong. And so people always say to me, Faith, how do you actually push through people saying that you can't do it? Well, because for me, it's the more that people tell me I can't do it, is the more I push and say that I can do it with God's help. And so that's what I loved about the cornerstone, because as a Christian woman, it allowed me to remember that kind of chief cornerstone scripture about how Jesus Christ is our chief cornerstone. And for me, when I see your resilience, it's like God helps me through any struggles, any difficulties. He's the one that I turn to push me to get to the next level. And Delight, honestly, your story, your journey, it is resilient. You are resilient, you are inspirational. And honestly, I just want to thank you today for coming on the Faith Brunel's Insights podcast. And really, so in future, if anybody was, and I'm sure they are going to be interested, how can they get in touch with you?
You can find me anywhere just by simply typing Delight Mapasure. By simply typing that. So on our social media, if you want to learn more about our business, so we are WORS. I'm sure Faith will share that when she writes up, when when she shares the link to the podcast. So you can find us as Kay's WORS on social media. If you want to learn more about myself, it's simply Delight Mapasure, and you'll be able to learn a lot more about myself.
Wonderful, Delight. Thank you very much again. You know, really sitting here has really been, it's just really eye-opening as well, because sometimes we have to understand, as you said, failure, I'm going to end with your quote actually, failure is a lesson, not a roadblock to success. So Delight, thank you everyone. Thank you, Delight. Thank you everyone. This is your host, Faith Brunel, signing off. Delight, have a wonderful day and continue to keep smiling.
Thank you, Faith.
Bye-bye.
Thank you. Thank you. Bye-bye.